Ah, Sylvain. I was hoping to ask your opinion on our recent meeting.
Hey, I'm always happy to talk. But if you want House Gautier's take, shouldn't you ask my father?
I don't want House Gautier's opinion. I want yours.
Okay, well, we were talking about the pros and cons of incorporating commoners in the nobility, right? Seems to me like we got it all sorted out.
Yes. The discussion primarily revolved around a single point. Whether those without crests are actually worthy of entering the nobility.
I mean, if they're up to the challenge, I don't see why not. It's like how you promoted my brother, right? Skill is what matters in the end.
Indeed. And the performances of Ash and the commander serve as proof of such.
Just don't get carried away, you know? Too much of a good thing and all that. I'm sure you realize what would happen to the kingdom if we lost the power of crests.
Naturally. However, crest bloodlines are currently fading everywhere. People such as Felix who were born with major crests are the exception in this day and age.
Which means Fargus has two options if we want to retain our power. One, we bolster our military and promote prosperity while delicately letting the bloodline dance play out. Or two, we admit bloodlines won't last forever and create a social system that doesn't rely on inheritance. Neither one would hold up for long, but if I had to choose, I guess the first option would be the better one for the kingdom on the whole.
Bolstering our military is more easily said than done. Impoverished as our land is, it will be difficult to compete with regions of more fertile ground.
Hey, do you remember what I said when you talked to me about promoting my brother? I told you it was important to keep up appearances while we were in the middle of a war. And honestly, I don't have any real objection to the way you're running things now.
Thank you, Sylvain. I knew you would help me sort things out in my head.
I don't usually get into serious stuff like this, but I'm glad I could help.
Such topics are not beyond your grasp, though. Your complete sincerity is a great strength. That said, you never show that side of you to any but Felix and myself. Although, I must admit, you were far from sincere during our academy days.
Don't remind me. Just thinking about it makes me cringe.
If you see the error of your ways, it is not too late to mend them. Or perhaps you require one of my lectures like old times?
Pass. You know I've got them all memorized anyway.
I do hope you realize how much I rely on you, Sylvain. You have so many things I lack. You're clever and quick-witted like your father, yet...
Yeah, well, I've been jealous of your strength ever since we were kids.
None of us are perfect, so let us dwell no longer on our failings. I apologize for taking up so much of your time, though I hope to have similar discussions in the future.
I'm looking forward to it. Glad I can always speak my mind around you. I'll figure something out, I promise. Just write to your father, okay?
I will.
Hey there, Dedue. Can I help you with something?
No, just passing by.
You sure? Looks like you really want to say something.
I was touched by your interaction with that woman.
What's that supposed to mean?
During our academy days, I often heard untoward rumors about you. You had a tendency to skip training and a certain reputation concerning women. You caused His Majesty all manner of headaches.
I can't deny that. But that's all in the past. I'm a lot more responsible these days, don't you think?
Don't expect praise for merely doing your job.
Right.
though I have been curious about what caused this change of heart.
Change of heart might be taking it a bit too far. It's just, I always see how Dimitri and Felix are out there doing all these amazing things. So I can't very well be goofing around when they're off making names for themselves. Call it a sibling rivalry.
Sibling rivalry?
They're like brothers to me, which is exactly why I don't want them looking down on me.
I see. I understand how you feel. I had a younger sister.
Had? Oh. Tell me about her. What was she like?
She loved flowers and often made crowns out of them. And once she set her mind to something, nothing in the world could change it.
Aw, she sounds sweet. And a little intimidating.
You cannot flirt with the dead, try as you might.
Whoa, hold on. I was just being honest. I'm sorry I never got the chance to meet her. I mean, if her protective older brother didn't kick me into next week first.
I may just have done so. Sylvain, you should visit Dusker after this war is over. My sister's grave is there. It's nothing special, but I would like to show it to you sometime.
I would love to, my friend. And I'll make sure to bring a giant bouquet of flowers with me.
She would like that very much.
What were you thinking? Sticking your nose into some soldier's fight? You have a lot of growing up to do if you're still throwing yourself in the middle of random brawls like that. Keep this up, and House Fraldarius' reputation will be rolling in the mud with you. Not to mention how it reflects poorly on His Majesty, considering he's the one who made you a duke.
I know all that.
Do you? Because you don't look like a man who's achieved some fantastic new enlightenment.
This is rich coming from you. I liked it better when you used to take the heat.
Are you kidding? You were always the one being scolded when we were kids.
Only because you were a half-wit who kept dragging me into your ludicrous schemes.
Was that how it was? Now, whatever you say. But tell me, what's got you swinging your fists around this time?
Nothing specific. I just couldn't back down after getting involved.
You really need to start being more careful. Look, you've even got a bruise going. Who knows what would happen to Fargus if we lost you?
I won't say you'd be fine without me, but you do know I could fall in battle any day now, right?
Bite your tongue, Felix. Just think for 2 seconds. What would happen to Fargus and to His Majesty if you died? He's got too much on his plate already, yet he insists on doing everything himself. War with the Empire, battles outside Fodlan, governing the kingdom, reforming the entire social structure of pretty much everything. If he didn't have you at his side, he'd fall flat on his face.
You speak as though you have no stake in this whatsoever. We're in the same situation. One of these days, you'll inherit the title of Margrave Gautier. Are you ready for that?
I know. Trust me, I am very well aware. Which is why I always act with the utmost integrity.
You're the complete opposite of integrity. Though I suppose you have been attempting to shake some of your old habits recently.
You know, it wouldn't kill you to pat me on the back every once in a while.
You're like a baby that just learned to walk. A pat on the back would only knock you over. You can try to make up for your past actions all you want, but that kind of thing isn't easily swept aside. The sooner you realize that, the better.
That tongue of yours is sharp as ever, I see. Never change, Felix.
I guess I was a touch reckless this time, as much as I hate to admit it. So I'll give you that much.
There you are, Felix. Why didn't you tell me?
Tell you what?
About the fight you got into the other day with those soldiers.
Oh, that. Don't worry, I won't do it again.
One of my men told me the whole story of what actually went down. Apparently, one of your soldiers was mocking the heir of House Gautier, who just so happens to be me. And he started getting into it with everyone else, which is when you decided to jump in.
Worst decision of my life. But like I said, I'm done with all that. I only stepped in because I thought it was my responsibility to make my men see sense. But my fists tend to move faster than my brain, as I'm sure you know.
I'm very well aware. Still, I'm curious why you didn't tell me everything right away.
Because he said some really nasty stuff about you. I didn't want your delicate ears dropping off in horror.
Okay, now I'm even more curious. Anyway, sorry for tearing into you without knowing the full story.
No, I'm the one who should apologize. I can't let personal life influence business, even if it does concern you.
You shouldn't worry about it. People speaking poorly about me is something of a regular occurrence. And honestly, I deserve every last bit of it. I was a real scoundrel in my younger days. Caused a whole lot of people a whole lot of headaches. That kind of talk isn't your fault or your soldier's fault. The blame lies squarely with the man I used to be.
So, why didn't you do something about that man when you were younger?
It was just... I had to be that way, you know? I had to play the part of the flippant, carefree rogue because... Anyway, look, I know I'm a real piece of work, but that's just me being me.
Fine. Perhaps you do deserve to be made fun of. But I still won't stand it coming from a bunch of curs who don't know a single thing about you. You may not have the title of Margrave yet, but you still make yourself pretty useful. I've seen how you've helped the boar, and I guess now you will help me too.
Wow, Felix, that's... Wow. Oh boy, I think someone's cutting onions in here.
Be quiet. Can't you listen to someone for 2 seconds without opening your fat mouth and completely ruining the moment? You always have been too smart and too loud for your own good, even if no one can match you in military tactics or domestic affairs. It's like you said, we've got problems piling up both inside and out of the kingdom. But with you around, we might just be able to see our way clear of it.
That's a lot of problems to pile on one person, especially when he isn't half as great as you're implying. I mean, I might be, say, 7% more cunning than you, but that's pretty much it. If we really want to be useful to Fargus and Dimitri, we need to work together so we can balance out each other's weaknesses.
I suppose that's true. In which case, I guess I'm counting on you. I may even need you. Maybe. Besides, I'd be stuck with nothing but miserably dour folks without you around. I'm not sure I could handle it.
You don't have to tell me twice, old friend. I'll always be there for you. I promise. You're really eyeballing that giant stack of documents there, Ash. Let me see what you've got. Records of military drills, archives of city taxes. You know, if you're searching for a particular needle in this load of hay, I can help you out.
Oh, I'm not looking for anything specific. I just thought they'd be good to study.
You're going to study all this?
Yeah. With the academy closed, I haven't had a chance to focus on learning lately. So, I thought I could give my brain a nice workout by reading old records and archives.
Hey, good for you taking the initiative. If it weren't for all this fighting, you and me would be living the schoolboy's dream right about now.
Right? We could be training together, taking classes on history and magic.
And when the ethereal moon comes, we'd go dancing with all the girls at the ball.
That's not quite what I had in mind.
So, are those records actually helping you?
Yeah, the ones on old military drills are especially interesting. It's fun just looking at them.
Just looking, huh? You might want to read a little deeper there. I mean, take this one for example. It talks about how the 3 northern houses held a joint exercise in 1166. And apparently they did so in the middle of a raging blizzard. It was so bad that some of their soldiers died, but they went ahead and did it anyway. Any idea why?
Drills in the snow in 1166. Oh, were they trying to prepare for a confrontation with Shrang?
Nailed it. They were training for the northern conquest they carried out a few years later. In other words, they'd already decided to try and take the north by 1166. So, if you look at the other drills during that time, you might be able to piece together what the late king was thinking.
Interesting. You know, another document did mention an exercise conducted in Guinevere.
Because they'd already predicted that Srang forces would cross the mountains, which meant battling in harsh desert terrain.
And that's why they were forbidden from using horses during that drill. It's amazing how you really start to see the bigger picture when you dig into details like that.
And that's why keeping records is so important. Anyway, I've probably bothered you long enough.
No, wait, teach me more. I mean, if you have time.
If you really want to learn, you're better off asking an actual professor type. I'm just, Sylvain.
No, you're a great teacher, and I can always ask them things when we're in the capital, but they won't be around when we're on the march. I just want to learn more so I don't embarrass the other knights. Please?
No, not the puppy dog eyes. Oh, fine, I'll help. But don't expect too much.
So, by stationing themselves in the bog, they were able to slow the advance of the enemy horses.
Exactly. But Lug's army was prepared in other ways too. They dug pitfalls, set up anti-cavalry palisades, and more. Laying all that groundwork is what led them to victory.
It's strange how the stories of King Lug don't go into much detail about him. But once you dig a bit, you realize he was a really talented tactician. I feel like I see him in a whole new light now. Say, do you think we could use this strategy in an upcoming battle? I know we can't do the exact same thing, but in that geography book you recommended to me before...
Where have you been hiding this talent? You're absorbing everything I teach you like a sponge. I can see why Lord Lenato had such faith in you.
Oh, it's not that. You're just a really good teacher.
Even taking that to be true, you're clearly an exceptional student. I'm actually sort of jealous that Dimitri gets a great knight like you by his side. I'd love to find some reason to steal you away to my territory after the war.
Don't joke like that, Sylvain. I serve His Majesty alone.
Ooh, shut down. But yeah, I get it. Still, are you really gonna devote your entire life to being a royal knight? To live and die in Ferdiad?
That was my initial idea, but I had a talk with His Majesty recently that made me reconsider. He asked if I wanted to succeed Lenato and take over Castle Gaspar after the war.
Castle Gaspar, huh? That makes sense. Adopted or not, you are Lord Lenato's heir.
I doubt the townspeople will be very accepting of me after I allowed him to die. But I'm still the only one capable of taking on the job. Or at least that's how I like to think of it.
Sounds like a huge responsibility, all right. Definitely can't ask you to come to House Gautier in that case.
That land meant everything to Lenato, and I would do anything to protect it. I want to help other people the same way he helped me. And I think I'm finally strong enough to do that now.
I should have expected as much. But hey, if that's what you want to do, I've got your back. A little education can be handy for a knight, but castle lords need to learn everything they can get their hands on. So let me know if you ever need old Teach to fill your little head full of info, and I'll come running. Sheesh, listen to me. I think your serious nature is contagious.
You joke, but I think you've always been a serious person deep down. You're an intelligent man who's always got his mind on one thing or another. I mean, aside from the way you acted back at the academy.
Oh, the unkindest cut. Completely accurate, but still.
I'm excited to learn everything I can from you, Sylvain. I really am.
Thank you for joining me on this moonlit stroll, my dear lady.
Thank you for the invitation. I've always been fond of such nighttime wanderings. The moon and stars are lovely, and there are also certain flowers that bloom only at night.
Count on you to know something like that. You'll have to point me in the direction of those flowers sometime.
Yes, well, what did you want to talk about?
Well, I heard you were getting engaged, and I was just wondering how you felt.
Goodness, someone is well informed.
Well, your fiancé-to-be is a noble from Gautier territory. It's only natural word would find its way to me. Are you going to accept? I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy or anything, but...
No, it's a fair question. However, as my adoptive father backs the proposal, I doubt I have much say in the matter. Though if I did, I'd likely refuse. There's still so much I want to do and experience in this world. Still, I doubt there's much hope of the parties involved relenting.
Why not just turn him down like you do all the other guys?
I've refused so many proposals that my adoptive father has run out of patience. And as he's already initiated the marriage discussions, it would be difficult to back out now.
That lowlife doesn't care about your feelings at all. He just cares about that crest of yours.
We don't choose our bloodline, just like flowers don't choose where to bloom. If being married means I will never know want, then I've no right to complain, even if it is not my preferred outcome. You're much the same, yes? People like us have to try to bloom as best we can.
I never really thought of myself as a flower, but I get what you're saying. Flowers are stuck in the same spot for life, whether they like it or not. And if they happen to sprout in a bad area, they're out of luck. But we have legs, not roots. We can go wherever we want. And we don't have to give up on our dreams, so long as we're clever about it.
I see. And what is your clever solution in this case?
Well, if your only goal is to end negotiations with this guy, I could ask you to marry me instead.
I'm not sure I follow. You would marry me, so I don't have to marry someone else?
To be perfectly clear, I'm not making advances on you or anything. But I'm the heir of House Gautier. If I ask you, this other guy will have no choice but to bow out, though I doubt he'd be happy about it. After that, you can do whatever you want. Go work at a church, or ladle out soup, or whatever makes you happy. I won't stop you.
But that would prevent you from marrying the person you love.
Okay, look, it's just an idea. You've got lots of options available to you.
You really do know the ways of the world, Sylvain. I've always admired that about you.
The honor of receiving such a compliment from you lifts my feet from the ground. But seriously, let me know if you need any help. I'm always here for you.
From the slimy depths of the swamp they rise, great beasties of every shape and size. They dance in a ring and... No, that's not right. Their slime they fling and... Huh? Who's there?
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Are you getting in a little choir practice there?
Oh, it's you, Sylvain. Were you listening that whole time?
Pretty much. I must say, that song's super creative. You're the only person I know who could think up something like that.
I feel like you were about to use another word there.
Nope. Great song. Top notch. A+. Are you going to perform it soon?
I was actually gonna sing it for everyone later tonight. I came up with the lyrics and tune myself, and now that I'm finished, I can perform it loud and proud.
And it's a song about swamp beasties. Did I hear that part right?
And what's wrong with swamp beasties?
Nothing in particular. It's just that if you're gonna sing it in front of everyone, maybe it should be, I don't know, relatable? I mean, swamp beasties are so beastie. Wouldn't it be better with a puppy or a baby sheep or something cute like that?
I see what you're saying. Cute animals, cute animals. Oh, what about bears? Huge ones.
Yeah, I guess huge bears are better than beasties. I mean, they are pretty cute when they're not trying to tear your face off. Okay, that's good. Except I'm pretty sure bears don't live in swamps. So if you switch it up, it should probably be about giant bears dancing in the woods.
That is the most adorable thing I've ever heard. Are you secretly a professional songwriter, Sylvain?
Absolutely not. In fact, I feel like I should apologize for butting in with ideas when you've clearly been working so hard on this.
Oh, don't apologize. If it helps make it a song everyone will enjoy, I'm all for it. I'm glad we're close enough for you to give your honest opinion.
Well, I've never been one to ignore hardworking girls like you, and I'd love to hear it when it's finished. Wait, what's with the look? Did you come up with the new lyrics already?
Yep. Your suggestions gave me all the inspiration I needed.
Impressive. Why don't you sing it for me?
Of course. I'm sure you'll love it. From the forest they appear, a sleuth of bears with cute round ears. They dance in a ring and enjoy the beats, but tonight they'll feast on meaty treats.
That actually might be more creepy somehow. But hey, maybe writing weird songs is a talent all of its own. At the very least, they're great at distracting me from real-life worries. Thanks, Annette.
That was quite the sigh. What's the matter, Sylvain?
Oh, nothing. Well, except there's a guy in my unit who keeps acting up, and I'm not sure what to do.
You don't say.
I don't think I like the face you're making.
Let me ask, just to be sure. Is this mysterious troublemaker in fact you?
Hey, I've changed. I swear I have. But no, it's not me. It's one of my knights. He keeps walking around breaking stuff and getting into fights, and I'm spending all my time apologizing for it.
So you finally understand how I felt. You know, I never thought this day would come. You really have changed, Sylvain. Perhaps this warrants a celebration.
Then you better bring your purse because I'm ordering 2 of everything. Seriously, Ingrid, you don't have to sound that impressed. With school suspended and the war raging, we've all had to adapt to changing circumstances. Felix and Dimitri both succeeded their fathers, and are now burning the candle at both ends, right? I can't go around causing trouble with unending scandals when I'm supposed to be the mature one of the bunch.
It is wonderful to see you turn a new leaf.
I told you to stop sounding so impressed. I suppose I had this coming.
I am sorry, Sylvain. I was only teasing. Think of it as payback for everything you put me through. Still, not having to clean up after you has been a real weight lifted from my shoulders.
Yeah, I was a handful in my wild days, but looking back, I really appreciate everything you did for me.
In that case, you should make the change permanent so you never cause trouble for anyone again. Though, honestly, I do not really know what to do with myself now that I am not spending all my time apologizing for you. Frankly, I was convinced you were useless without me.
Sorry. Again.
Please, no. You gave me experience I'd never have gotten otherwise. If I were truly miserable, I would have abandoned you to the wolves long ago. Besides, it wasn't all bad. You were the one who finally coaxed me from my room after Glenn's death, remember?
Okay, I'm confused. Do you want me to go back to being a huge flirt, or...?
Don't be ridiculous.
Figured.
As you said, we have all had to adapt to changing circumstances, which means we cannot cling to the past forever. You and I are no exception. It is merely a touch sad to come to the realization.
What's the matter, Ingrid? You sound exhausted.
Oh, it is just that my father's work never ends. Writing battle reports, explaining our Pegasus maintenance costs. There's always something that needs doing. I'm impressed that you, Felix, and His Majesty managed to stay on top of it all.
Are you sure you're okay, Ingrid? It isn't like you to be so worried.
Perhaps I'm simply not suited for desk work. I sound pathetic.
That's my cue to pitch in and help out by treating a lovely lady to a fine meal.
I thought you'd sworn off such flirtatious nonsense.
Can't you just accept a generous offer for once instead of immediately disparaging the giver?
Maybe you're right. In that case, I accept. I reached a good stopping point anyway, so I may as well eat on your coin.
Phew. It has been some time since I've eaten this much. I've been so busy lately, my meals have consisted of whatever quick snack I can scrounge up in the moment.
Well, that makes the incredibly hefty bill worth it. Also, it's been a while since I've been able to watch you eat. I think I kind of missed it.
And what is that supposed to mean?
Sorry, that came out all wrong. What I meant to say was that it's a relief to finally see you enjoy a decent meal. I mean, we're basically family, you know? And I'm sure Felix and Dimitri would feel the same way.
Is that so?
When we were talking earlier, you said something about how a person can't cling to the past forever. Well, I think that's why it makes us so happy when we realize some things never change.
Some things never change, huh? Hold on. That means you were still gawking at me as I ate.
Yeah, but can you blame me? You are a fascinating eater. I mean, you're normally really serious, but when you eat, it's like your entire face lights up.
Do you even hear yourself? Yes, well, speaking of things that never change, I thought of an even more important one.
What's that?
Our friendship. The way we're there for each other through thick and thin. Even if our relationship changes, we will always hold each other dear.
Okay, that line is way too cheesy. Who taught you to say that? What rogues have you been hanging out with?
Stop complaining and come with me. I want to buy some treats for everyone.
I'd follow you to the ends of the earth, my lady. Ignatz, I've been looking all over for you.
Oh, hello, Sylvain. Do you need something?
Yeah, I actually... Oh, were you painting? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. What can I do for you?
Actually, I was hoping you could take a look at this painting I brought back last time I was home.
This style is rarely seen in Fargus. It might be the work of an Imperial painter.
Agreed. I don't think I've seen this style of brushwork used much in the kingdom. My father's first wife was an Imperial noble, so maybe it was hers?
I never knew that. Still, it's quite stunning.
I know, right? That lady's really something.
I didn't mean the woman herself. Though, of course, she's lovely too. The features of her face suggest such kindness. She actually resembles Lady Rhea in a way.
The thing is, I have no idea who she is or if she even exists in real life.
Is that why you came to me? To see if I could uncover her identity?
Pretty much. I really love this thing, so it's been bugging me for years. I thought maybe you could finally scratch the itch for me. I mean, everybody knows you're the go-to guy for anything related to art.
Well, I'll do what I can, but please try not to get your hopes up. There's still a great deal I don't know. Though I must admit, my curiosity has been piqued as well.
Oh, really? Thanks. I wouldn't have the first clue about how to go about this on my own. I mean, I'd at least have something to go on if it was a religious painting, but us kingdom folk pretty much only care about fighting, you know? And our art books are, well, let's just say they're lacking, and leave it at that.
Yes, I'm well aware. Sadly, while religious art has continued to thrive and grow, the same can't be said for its secular counterparts. I do get the impression that this portrait may actually be related to the Church of Saros, though.
You think? I don't know. I haven't noticed any of the usual elements of a Saros composition.
As I'm sure you know, paintings of legendary and sacred figures all share a certain pattern. Which is to say, they're frequently depicted with their associated symbols.
Yeah, like St. Ceros with swords and St. Sethaline with fish. But I don't see anything even close to that here.
Look at the birds. Don't they seem strangely prominent to you?
I guess, now that you mention it. Okay, so who was associated with birds? St. Macule, maybe? No, St. Macule was a guy. This is nothing like how he's usually depicted either.
I didn't expect you to be so knowledgeable, Sylvain. No offense. To be honest, I always thought the two of us lived in entirely different worlds.
Come on, you should know me better than that. I'm the biggest art connoisseur in all of Fargus. Though, I admit, at first I only studied it to impress the ladies.
Sorry. I guess we still live in different worlds after all.
Hey, Ignatz, how goes the research?
I've actually learned a fair number of things about your painting. Based on the canvas and pigments, I've managed to narrow down the era when it was made. I believe it to be from roughly 200 years ago, around the time the Officers' Academy was founded at the monastery.
Wow, I'm impressed you can nail it down that specifically. I knew you'd come through for me.
Well, the vivid blue pigment of her clothes is very distinctive. It's a rare kind of Almiran paint made from crushed gemstones. And it only came to Fodlan 2 centuries ago, after Almira invaded.
Which means the painting can't be any older than that, yeah?
Exactly. Oh, and the material used for the canvas is... Well, if I went into every detail, we'd be here all day. What about you, Sylvain? Did you learn anything? I heard you were trying to track down some books in the capital.
Yeah, I read up on the saints. Turns out birds are definitely one of St. Macule's things. But I also found a weird story about an archbishop from 2 centuries ago. I'm guessing her reign got cut short due to illness because I didn't recognize the name at all. Anyway, on the day she died, white birds apparently flocked to the monastery and started mourning.
If that took place 2 centuries ago, she might be the person in this painting.
Yeah, it all seems too connected to be a coincidence.
Still, her clothes seem rather plain for an archbishop of the time.
Yeah, I wonder why. They were usually into fancy robes and big hats and all that.
Maybe it's more of a symbolic representation than an actual portrait. It could be designed to show how she was humble and supportive of the poor and downtrodden. Or perhaps she just wanted to be represented without all the trappings of her office. Of course, I'm just guessing here. I have no actual proof of anything.
Hey, I'm spitballing too. I mean, I don't even know for sure that she was an archbishop. Still, is it just me or does she look a lot like Lady Rhea?
Well, yes, I suppose she does. But that has to be a coincidence, right? The position of archbishop isn't hereditary, and I doubt they could be related in any way.
Yeah, you're right. Probably just the overall ambiance that makes them seem similar. Anyway, who knew I'd find something like this hiding in my house? Pretty crazy, huh? I'm really glad I showed you. Not knowing would have probably bugged me for the rest of my life otherwise.
No, thank you. I'm truly glad to have come across this piece. Both because I got to know a stunning work of art and because I learned more about you in the process. You're much easier to talk to than I imagined, and quite a bit more interesting as well.
Glad we could clear up that little misunderstanding, because I'm all about making new friends.
I feel just the same.
You have something to say, or do you just like staring at me?
Merely thinking about your brother, that's all. I only caught a glimpse of him at Aryan Road, but he was nothing like what the rumors suggested.
You mean the ones about the eldest son of a noble family falling from grace, taking up a life of banditry and wanton destruction?
The very same. They say he was a foul knave who stole not to survive, but because he took such great pleasure from the act. Still, I suppose one shouldn't take such rumors at face value.
Actually, there's a fair amount of truth to what they say. At least there was, up until 2 years ago. Yet still, His Majesty thought it was wise to recruit him to our side, and somehow managed to do just that.
Yes, I hear he wooed your brother with the chance to demonstrate how the Crestless can still make something of themselves. His honeyed words drew him in, at which point he began to play the man's inferiority complex like a mandolin.
Seems like you're more cunning than I realized. You really have eyes and ears everywhere, huh?
You're one to talk of cunning, springing as you do from the loins of Margrave Gautier himself. I know you've been keeping tabs on my every move.
What?
In my line of work, one learns to pick up on hostile presences rather quickly. From the day we met, you've been waiting for me to take one wrong step so you can cut me down. I'd heard the heir of House Gautier was nothing more than a base philanderer, but it seems that rumor isn't completely true either. Just look at you, having the gall to call me out while you hide behind the murderous grin plastered on your face. I know you've killed without hesitation.
Hey, we've all made mistakes. There's no need to rehash the past. And what's this murderous grin you're talking about? What would that even look like?
The fact you aren't conscious of it makes you all the more dangerous. Unless that pained grimace just now was also part of your act. Regardless, that crest-bearing fool nickname you picked up seems woefully inappropriate for one of your caliber. It's clear you inherited your father's cunning, and then some.
I'm not sure whether to take that as a compliment or just start sobbing.
The former. There aren't many in Fodling capable of winning my true respect. For my part, I'll watch where I step, lest I end up with one of your blades lodged in my back. All right, that should do it. Sorry for pulling you into this, Sylvain.
Hey, I'm the one who should be apologizing. I can't believe I didn't pick up on the fact we had spies in our midst.
Oh, I'm just especially attuned to sensing such people, what with my line of work and all. They seemed quite adept, save for the fact they were just as poor at hiding their hostility as you.
Or maybe you're just way too perceptive.
Merely years of practice, I assure you. Still, I was surprised to see how eagerly you set about clearing those spies from our midst. Never thought I'd meet someone who'd jump at an invitation to purge spies as readily as he would a lunch date with a pretty woman.
Well, time is of the essence with this kind of stuff, and Dimitri surely won't mind that we only let him know after the fact. We have to win this war, and nothing loses a war faster than a leaky ship.
Yet even superior intelligence can be overturned by brute force. Take Aryan Road, for example. I was so certain we had achieved total victory, and then...
Yeah, that was a hard-won battle. We'd never have made it without my brother and the knights. Speaking of which, it's still a little weird to trust my back to a guy who was so recently trying to jam a sword into it.
I understand your qualms. In fact, I'm surprised you never hunted me down yourself to seek revenge for your brother's death.
It's all water under the bridge if you joining helps us win this war. I just didn't know if I could trust you at first.
And now? Have I proven worthy of that trust?
Certainly. Your perceptiveness really saved our tails this time. But don't forget that I'm sworn to protect this place. And you know exactly what'll happen if you decide to switch sides.
You're actually quite the loyalist beneath all that flippancy. I admire such sensibility, believe it or not. But you may rest easy. I have no intentions of betraying you. In fact, I look forward to a lasting friendship with the future Margrave.
I'd like that. And I kind of appreciate how you see right through me. Saves me the trouble of trying to beat around the bush, you know?
It sounds as if we forged a mutual respect. Perhaps I might even agree to go out with you sometime. So long as you don't use any more of your awful pickup lines from the first time we met. Oh, how did that one go again? Ah, yes. Hello there, my adorable little chickadee. Care to let this rooster into the hen house?
Look, I already apologized for mistaking you for a girl, so you can quit bringing it up now.
And give up such an embarrassing tidbit on the next Margrave Gautier? Never! Besides, I never asked you to apologize. You are not the first to make that error, nor will you be the last. And frankly, a date with you would likely prove a very interesting experience. There's no better way to secure one's future than by attaching oneself to a dashing Margrave to be, after all.
Whoa, you just put my chickadee line to shame. Is it weird that I'm kinda into it?
Take note, Sylvain. This is how it's done.
I think I'm at least starting to get how you've risen so far so fast. I'm definitely glad you're on our side. Anyway, here's to seeing where the future takes us. Well, well, just the gal I wanted to see. I've got a bit of a favor to ask. You know that special sword you fight with? Well, I was wondering if you'd let me take a peek at it.
Sure, if you want. Can't say I expected this kind of interest coming from you, though. It'd be one thing if it were Dimitri or Felix asking. You know how they get about weapons. But you?
You do remember I'm the heir to House Gautier, don't you? I've been studying the art of combat ever since I was just a kid.
Well, you always skip out on training, so... Anyway, here. This work?
It sure does. What a weird sword. You know what it's made of? It doesn't look like iron or steel to me.
I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I have no idea.
What about how you can make it appear right out of thin air? Is that some sort of magic?
Nah, not exactly. It kinda just comes to me when I call it.
Well, that's vague. One more question then. Would I be able to use your sword if I wanted to?
Doubt it. The thing vanishes the second I let go of it. But hey, why do you want to know so much about it anyway?
I guess I was just thinking how nice it'd be if there were more weapons like yours out in the world. You know, a hero's relic can take down hundreds or even thousands of soldiers in a single swing. Depending on who's doing the swinging, of course. But as soon as the wielder dies, that's it. If you don't have a crest, it's nothing more than a fancy-looking hunk of whatever they're made of. Of course, that wouldn't be an issue if everyone could just use a sword like yours.
Maybe so, but that doesn't make it possible. I mean, there's still so much even I don't know about it.
Right. It's not like you can just make a second one or something.
That's actually a pretty interesting idea. You've given this a lot of thought, haven't you?
Hey, you're talking to the future Margrave Gautier here, remember? Of course I'd think about this kind of stuff. After all, us nobles wouldn't have nearly as much work to do if everyone could fight with the relics. And then I could spend all my time flirting with you instead.
Yeah, not interested. Don't make me tell Ingrid about this.
Harsh. Though I do like that about you. Come on, let's see that sword of yours a little more.
Never thought I'd see the day you shut yourself in your room to read. I hear you've been pouring through every book on magic you can get your hands on.
Hey, I read sometimes. Anyway, I had this great idea I needed to do some research for.
I'm afraid to ask. Wait, what's that diagram?
A perceptive question. This here is a blueprint I came up with for a new kind of fire orb.
Really? You're talking about those flame-flinging siege weapons, right? Because that looks pretty small for a fire orb.
Well, that's the point. I want to make it so that our knights can carry one around as easily as they do their swords.
What would that accomplish? Knights don't have the training to use something like that.
Right you are. The wielder needs both special training and some natural magical ability to use one. At least that's the case with our current fire orbs. Which brings me to my main goal, making it so that anyone can use them, no matter their background. I mean, think about the havoc we could wreak if your average knight or myrmidon could also blast out some fire magic whenever they wanted.
That's actually a great idea, Sylvain. I bet we could come up with some amazing battle strategies with those things.
Right? I knew someone as special as you would understand. Either way, it won't be ready anytime soon. I'm not sure when I'll finally be done with it, honestly.
If you don't hurry, the war will be over before you're finished.
Battle's not the only place it'll come in handy. People who don't have any other training could use it for self-defense.
Huh. Come to think of it, that's the same reason you were so interested in my sword. Does this have to do with House Gautier? I know your family's been dealing with Serang for years now.
Yeah, more or less. We've gone through some pretty tough times. My father's first wife, Miklon's mom, she died in a Serang raid. We've managed to hold the border for about 100 years now thanks to the Lance of Ruin. But they keep pushing our limits. Frankly, I admire their determination.
It did seem like Margrave Gautier was pretty used to fending off their attacks.
It's not like he's had much choice. Once I inherit his title, I'll keep doing whatever I can to hold them off. But it's going to be tough without a stronger military. If the king had forces of his own, he could send them in at a moment's notice whenever we were in trouble. Problem is, the last king already tried something like that. It ticked the local lords off to no end.
Makes sense. If the king grows stronger, everyone else loses a little bit of their own influence in comparison. Anyone would have a hard time swallowing that.
I'd say it's worth it if it means the kingdom won't descend into chaos. Whatever the case, any reforms we enact will need to be peaceful and well-founded. Which is exactly why I want us to be able to fight on our own, without having to rely on our relic or on other lords.
Wow, Sylvain, you actually sound like a real heir now. It's a nice change from all the skirt chasing you used to do.
Hey, the future of my house is on the line here. Even the laziest guy in the world would be worried about that. Sure, the kingdom might be a half-frozen stretch of dirt, but it's my half-frozen stretch of dirt. And it's the only home I've got.
Home, huh? Ugh, today's training was rough. Guess I need to start working even harder if I want to keep up.
You know, it's incredible just how into all this you are, but I do feel kind of bad for you.
Why? It's my own fault for not being up to snuff. Just you watch, Sylvain. I'm gonna stand head and shoulders above everyone else in the next battle.
That's not what I mean. I feel bad that we roped you into this war. The only reason any of us are fighting is to keep our homes from being destroyed. If we fail, we'll lose everything. Our houses, our families, the places we grew up. But you don't have that kind of personal stake in this thing. You can live wherever the wind takes you.
True. I am a bit of a nomad.
Isn't there anywhere you call home, though?
Well, sorta. I grew up in a remote village off in the mountains, so that's probably the closest thing. But it's hard to really say for sure. Honestly, I doubt I'll ever understand what it means to have a home like all of you do.
So what? Are you just in this for the money then?
If I'm getting paid for a job, then I'll do whatever it takes to see it through to the end. And of course, I want to keep my friends safe too.
A very you answer if I've ever heard one. Not that that's a bad thing.
Really, I think this is the closest thing to a home I've ever had. Because I've got all of you here.
Are you sure? This place doesn't make for quality living, trust me. I mean, it's cold, it's desolate, and there's nowhere to go to have any fun. Plus, we've constantly got enemies like Srang soldiers coming at us from every angle.
Well, I can't deny that. But it's still important to you anyway, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And it's our job to make it a place where everyone can live in peace.
Right. Who knows what'll happen after the war. But for now, I'm with you guys every step of the way.
I appreciate it. Oh, yeah, and about those plans for the fire orb I showed you? Would you mind helping me with a little experiment later? The thing hardly had any punch to it when I tested it.
Sure. Sounds like it's a long way off still, huh?
Hey, I'm trying here. I even got in touch with the School of Sorcery to see if they could help.
No rush, Sylvain. I'm sure you'll finish it one of these days. I've spent enough time with you to know. You can do anything when you put your mind to it.